We all know that milk is an universal. Without milk, no species on the planet, especially the mammals, cannot survive without milk, even including human beings. So it has become part of our life, which is very essential for growth and development, a good source for protein. But lack of adequate production has also led to adulteration of the milk and milk products. So that has created threat to the entire ecosystem and is also adding to lot of health issues. First, let's look into, there are other various aspects also on the dairy practices, the kind of abusive farming practices that happens to overproduce or meet the production demand and supply of the milk supplies. But today, we let's talk more about positive things, because as an environment activist, we daily speak about many things which are affecting the climate. And let's look at the positive side by the industry. You can see how the dairy is contributing to 1.3% of all US greenhouse gas emissions. And that is comparative. This is an industry version. Of course, we have the environmental activist version as well. So let's look at both the versions. And here we see transportation is contributing to 28% of the greenhouse gas emissions, and electricity generation 27%, industry 22%, and animal agriculture, that is animal farming, is contributing to 10%, that is in US. Comparatively, it is 1.3% of all US greenhouse gas emissions. And apart from that, commercial activities are contributing around 7%, and residential activities are contributing to 6%. In this entire greenhouse gas emissions, 3% are fluorinated gases, 7% are nitrogenous oxide, and 10% is methane, and 81% is carbon dioxide. And to reduce these greenhouse gas emissions, these dairy organizations are using innovative dairy farming practices. The environmental impact of producing a gallon of milk has shrunk significantly. So what they have done is 19% smaller carbon footprint, and 30% less water usage, and 21% less land usage. Farmers are using recycled water to clean the barns. Farmers are also using recycled manure to use as natural fertilizer for cropland, which is an waste generated from farm animals. And some farms have solar panels that create renewable energy to power the dairy. So reducing electricity consumption or energy consumption from alternative or conventional sources and using renewable energy as part of the process. So that next time you are enjoying a glass of milk, you can be sure you are making a positive choice for your health and as well as the environment. Now see how organizations across the world, dairy organizations across the world are contributing to the pathways to dairy net zero. One of the largest dairy in South Africa, Faircape Dairies, solar energy power they are using for entire milk processing and production. That is up to 100%. And Woodlands Dairy in South Africa, one of the largest, is ready. They have reduced carbon footprint more than 70%. They have made an installation of chip boiler, which decreases the dependence on heavy furnace oil. And for the boiler, local residents are providing waste material to fuel the boiler. And in Friesland Campina, Netherlands, they are supporting 13,000 plus dairy farmers through knowledge and insights. And a tailor-made sustainability tool to reduce climate impact and increase biodiversity. In New Zealand, Fonterra, they are investing in research and development to modify the bacteria in a cow's rumen. The cattle are the greatest source for the methane emissions. Even in our earlier seminars, webinars also, we have discussed that due to animal farming, lot of methane emissions are being made as part of animal farming. So to reduce the animal methane emissions from cattle or animal farming, they are trying to modify the bacteria in the stomachs of rumens of animals. In United Kingdom, Arla, they are recycling cow manure and gas emissions as renewable biofuel. And as an alternative source, each liter of diesel replaced with cow-based biofuel, that is 2 kg reduction in carbon dioxide emissions. In India, various initiatives have been taken by National Dairy Development Board. As part of the initiatives, implementing animal feed ration balancing to mitigate enteric methane. And also improving manure management practices and using solar energy. DNA Tanzania, the public-private partnership helped provide solutions to critical issues facing the world. DNA training helps smallholder farmers improve productivity and also milk quality, reduce emissions and waste, and enhance livelihood. United Kingdom, Subto, David Stoke Creamery, it is one of the largest manufacturer. They have installed 9,400 solar panels that deliver 10% of the facility's total electricity demand. Thus, by reducing 10% of fossil fuel electricity. And in Northern Ireland, Dairy Council Dale Farm, they have installed 37 acres of solar panels. And when compared to other farms, Dale Farm is one of the largest solar farms associated with any dairy plant globally. This is the largest solar plant anywhere in the world in dairy farms. And in US, Innovation Center for US Dairy, Goodrich Farm, one of the largest anaerobic digesters in the USA, was established. The renewable and natural gas produced is equal to 2,000 cars taken off the road each year, contributing to the reduction of greenhouse gases emission. Royal DSM Switzerland, they developed an innovative feed additive that reduces enteric methane emissions by 30% in dairy cows. So reduction of 30% of methane gas emissions. So then USA, European Union and Russia. They have formed a global alliance, Farming for Generations Global Alliance, and they span across 8 countries. This global alliance works with farmers to speed up and scale up regenerative agriculture. So let's all join the movement to accelerate the climate action to reduce greenhouse emissions. For more information, visit pathways to dairynetzero.org. Now, why we need cows in the very first place? That can be one of the questions. When there are a lot of gas emissions are happening, are there no alternatives for milk? Because cattle stands to be the most economical, affordable, and also the largest source of milk. Because milk, as we have already discussed, it's a universal need for everyone. And as the population is growing and the world is overpopulated to meet the requirements, so cattle stands the largest source and economical, affordable source for the milk to meet protein and other nutritional requirements. So what if cattle or the cows are not used or do not exist for the milk production? Let's see a dairy perspective.
What about the environment? Cows are indeed a source of greenhouse gases, or GHGs. But did you know that the dairy sector is responsible for less than 3% of global GHGs? Comparatively, the transportation and energy industries are much larger emitters. Here's another interesting fact. The primary GHG produced by livestock is methane, a potent but relatively short-lived gas that breaks down in the atmosphere over the course of 12 years. However, GHGs such as carbon dioxide released from the burning of fossil fuels accumulates in the atmosphere for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Some might argue that with cows gone, the land they use could grow more crops. But actually, only 3% of the land used globally by dairy has the potential to grow crops. The grass and foliage where cows graze are a carbon sink that can sequester much of the carbon that is produced by cows. And manure is itself a source of carbon sequestration by significantly reducing the reliance on synthetic fertilizers for crops. With continued innovation in the sector, it is possible for dairy to become climate neutral over the next few decades. Yes, climate neutral.
Through various initiatives, the dairy organizations across the globe are planning to be climate neutral. So is this really possible? A big question over here. So let's look into other aspects. Now, without cows,
What about the 1 billion people around the world who rely on the dairy sector for their livelihoods? More than 600 million live on 133 million dairy farms, most of which are small-scale farms, many led by women. Another 400 million people rely on the jobs dairy creates upstream and downstream from the farm. It's increasingly clear that we must alter our habits to improve the health of our planet. However, making these changes is not as straightforward as you might think. And while cows play an important role in our food system, some would have you believe they are a major problem. So what would happen if one day all the dairy cows on Earth simply disappeared? No dairy cows means that access to milk and dairy products that provide important nutrition to 6 billion people across the globe would be eliminated. It means no longer having a nutrient-dense food that gives us energy and is a key source of vitamins and minerals, which are especially necessary in developing regions of the world. It is in these regions where affordable, high-quality proteins are scarce that dairy can literally be a lifesaver. And while there may be plant-based alternatives, they can't fill the void because they don't measure up nutritionally to milk. And what about the environment? Cows are indeed a source of greenhouse gases, or GHGs. But did you know that the dairy sector is responsible for less than 3% of global GHGs? Comparatively, the transportation and energy industries are much larger emitters. Here's another interesting fact. The primary GHG produced by livestock is methane, a potent but relatively short-lived gas that breaks down in the atmosphere over the course of 12 years. However, GHGs such as carbon dioxide released from the burning of fossil fuels accumulates in the atmosphere for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Some might argue that with cows gone, the land they use could grow more crops. But actually, only 3% of the land used globally by dairy has the potential to grow crops. The grass and foliage where cows graze are a carbon sink that can sequester much of the carbon that is produced by cows. And manure is itself a source of carbon sequestration by significantly reducing the reliance on synthetic fertilizers for crops. With continued innovation in the sector, it is possible for dairy to become climate neutral over the next few decades. Yes, climate neutral. And finally, what about the 1 billion people around the world who rely on the dairy sector for their livelihoods? More than 600 million live on 133 million dairy farms, most of which are small-scale farms, many led by women. Another 400 million people rely on the jobs dairy creates upstream and downstream from the farm. Dairy, like all agricultural sectors, has more improvements to make to reduce its climate impact. But it is clear that dairy is part of the solution to critical issues facing the world. A world without cows would result in too many negative consequences.
Any species out of the ecosystem will all have an adverse effects on it. So totally eliminating the cows or the animal farming is not the solution. So having sustainable practices as part of the process and reducing the greenhouse emissions and reducing and reducing fossil fuels and reusing the waste and adopting renewable energy are all the various alternatives which dairy is adopting towards net zero emissions. Now, so having talked about importance of milk and milk products and also the demand and supply, uh, that demand is more than the supply and lot of adulteration we have seen and been seen across the world, even in India. So let's see who is regulating and what are the standards and what are the methods, the measures, and through various procedures we can identify the milk adulteration so that we can have and consume safe and fresh milk. So let's see about India, the regulatory authority, Food Safety and Standards Authority of India. a brief introduction about them and understand what are they doing in providing fresh and food products for entire nation.
Pre-2006, there were several acts and orders in force, such as PFA 1954, Milk and Milk Products Order 1992, etc. In order to bring clarity in food legislations and authorities, a single act, that is Food Safety and Standards Act 2006, was enacted on 23rd August 2006. Accordingly, FSSAI, a statutory body established under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare in September 2008. The rules and regulation made thereunder came into force with effect from 5th August 2011. Roles and functions of FSSAI. It is a central legislation body to lay down food standards based on science, transparency, and consultation. Framing of regulations to regulate food businesses in India. At present, there are 18 regulations such as licensing and registration, food product standards and food additive, packaging and labeling, laboratory and sampling analysis, import, alcoholic beverages, fortification of food, advertisement and claims, etc. Laying down guidelines for accreditation of laboratories for food testing. Harmonizing the standards as per global norms and contributing to the development of international and technical standard of food. FSSAI coordinates with state food safety authorities for enforcement of Food Safety and Standard Act in their area of jurisdiction. Disseminating information and promoting awareness about food and nutrition in India. Structure of FSSAI. FSSAI is headed by chairperson and administered by Chief Executive Officer, who looks after day-to-day administration of the authority. Headquarters of FSSAI is located in New Delhi. Its regional offices are located in Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai, and Guwahati. It has 2 import offices situated at Cochin and Tuticorin. Further, it has 2 labs, that is National Food Laboratory and Central Food Laboratory. In addition to this, FSSAI has recognized NABL accredited labs for food testing. FSSAI registration and license, an important terminology. Definition of food. Food means any substance, whether processed, partially processed, or unprocessed, which is intended for human consumption, like packaged drinking water, water used for food preparation, alcoholic drinks, infant food, etc. Definition of food business operator. Any person or entity carrying out food activities such as manufacturing, production, storage, distribution, sales and imports, transportation of food, etc. Petty food business operators. These are petty retailers, hawkers, vendors, temporary stall holders whose food business turnover is less than rupees 12 lakh per annum or having production capacity less than 100 kg per day or less than 500 liters per day in case of milk. Need of license registration from FSSAI. FSSAI license registration is mandatory for starting any food business in India. As per Section 31 of FSS Act 2006, no person shall commence or carry any food business except under a license or registration. Types of licenses, registration. For petty FBOs with turnover less than rupees 12 lakh per annum, state licenses, FBOs operating in one state and having turnover less than rupees 20 crores per annum, central licenses, FBOs operating in more than one state or having turnover more than rupees 20 crores per annum, or involved in import-export, or having premises located at central government establishments such as railways, airport, seaports, defense, etc. Responsibilities of FBOs. Every FBO shall ensure that any article of food should comply with the rules and regulations of FSS Act 2006. Every FBO shall comply with conditions of the license. Every FBO shall follow hygienic and sanitary practices as laid down under Schedule 4 of FSS License and Registration of Food Businesses Regulations 2011. No FBO shall himself or by any person on his behalf manufacture, store, distribute unsafe or misbranded or substandard articles of food. No FBO shall employ any person who is suffering from infectious, contagious or loathsome disease. No FBO shall sell or offer for sale any article of food without any guarantee in writing as specified by regulations. Penalty and punishments. FBO can be penalized for substandard food, for selling food not of the nature or substance or quality demanded, misbranded food, for misleading advertisement, failure to comply with the directions of FSSAI, for unhygienic or unsanitary manufacturing of food, for processing adulteration, for contraventions for which no specific penalty is provided. The penalty ranges from Rs 25,000 to Rs 10 lakh or imprisonment up to term of life depending upon the gravity of injury. Initiatives. FSSAI is targeting both FBOs and consumers for creating awareness towards food safety and standards. For FBOs to become self-compliant, FSSAI has launched a training program, namely Food Safety Training and Certification, FOSTAC. For consumers, various initiatives like Eat Right India campaign, Aaj Se Thoda Kam, Bhog, Clean Street Food Hub, Safe and Nutrition Food, etc. have been initiated. Details of these may be seen at the official website of FSSAI.
This is a brief about FSSAI. It is a regulatory authority in India. Now let's see the duties and functions of Foods Authority.
To regulate and monitor the manufacture, processing, distribution, sale and import of food so as to ensure safe and wholesome food. The Food Authority may by regulations specify the standards and guidelines in relation to articles of food, the limits for use of food additives, crop contaminants, pesticides residues, residues of veterinary drugs, heavy metals, processing aids, mycotoxins, antibiotics, and pharmacological active substances and irradiation of food. The mechanism and guidelines for accreditation of certification bodies engaged in certification of food safety management systems for food businesses. The procedure and enforcement of quality control in relation to any article of food imported into India. The procedure and guidelines for accreditation of laboratories and notification of the accredited laboratories. The method of sampling, analysis, and exchange of information among enforcement authorities. Conduct survey of enforcement and administration of this act in the country. Food labeling standards including claims on health, nutrition, special dietary uses, and food category systems for foods, and the manner in which and the procedures subject to which risk analysis, risk assessment, risk communication, and risk management shall be undertaken. Definition of food under Section 3J of FSS Act 2006. Food means any substance, whether processed, partially processed, or unprocessed, which is intended for human consumption and includes primary food to the extent defined in Clause ZK, genetically modified or engineered food or food containing such ingredients, infant food, packaged drinking water, alcoholic drinks, chewing gum, and any substance, including water, used into the food during its manufacture, preparation or treatment but does not include any animal feed, live animals, unless they are prepared or processed for placing on the market for human consumption. Plants, prior to harvesting, drugs and medicinal products, cosmetics, narcotic or psychotropic substances, provided that the central government may declare by notification in the official gazette, any other article as food for the purposes of this Act having regards to its use, nature, substance or quality. Who is a food business operator? FBO. As per Section 3N and 3O of FSS Act 2006, a person who is carrying out a food business, whether for profit or not, whether public or private, involved in the activities related to any stage of manufacture, processing, packaging, storage, transportation, distribution and import of food. This also includes food services, catering services, sale of food or food ingredients, even through e-commerce platforms. What is the need for FSSAI license registration? As per Section 31 of FSS Act 2006, no person shall commence or carry any food business except under a license or registration. There can be a penalty up to Rs 5 lakhs or imprisonment of 6 months for carrying out food business without license under Section 63. Who are petty food business operators? A petty food business operator means a person who himself manufactures or sells any article of food, or a petty retailer, hawker, itinerant vendor, or a temporary stall holder, or small-scale or cottage industry whose turnover is less than Rs 12 lakhs per annum, or production capacity doesn't exceed 100 kg per day, or handling milk up to 500 liters per day, or having slaughtering capacity up to 2 large animals, 10 small animals and 50 poultry birds. Who is eligible for FSSAI license? All FBOs who are not fitting in petty FBO category are required to obtain FSSAI license. There are 2 categories of FSSAI license, that is state license and central license, depending on the annual turnover or production capacity of food businesses. Regulations made under Food Safety and Standards Act 2006. Food Safety and Standards, Licensing and Registration of Food Businesses Regulation 2011. Food Safety and Standards, Food Products Standards and Food Additives Regulation 2011. Food Safety and Standards, Prohibition and Restriction of Sales Regulation 2011. Food Safety and Standards Packaging and Labeling Regulation 2011, Food Safety and Standards Contaminants, Toxins and Residues Regulation 2011, Food Safety and Standards Laboratory and Sampling Analysis Regulation 2011, Food Safety and Standards Food or Health Supplements, Nutraceuticals, Food for Special Dietary Purpose, Functional Food and Novel Food Regulation 2016, Food Safety and Standards, Food Recall Procedure Regulation 2017, Food Safety and Standards, Import Regulation 2017, Food Safety and Standards, Approval for Non-Specific Food and Food Ingredients Regulation 2017, Food Safety and Standards, Organic Food Regulation 2017, Food Safety and Standards, Alcoholic Beverage Regulation 2018, Food Safety and Standards, Fortification of Food Regulation 2018, Food Safety and Standards, Food Safety Auditing Regulation 2018, Food Safety and Standards, Recognition and Notification of Laboratories Regulation 2018, Food Safety and Standards, Advertising and Claims Regulation 2018, Food Safety and Standards, Packaging Regulation 2018, Food Safety and Standards, Recovery and Distribution of Surplus Food Regulation 2019. Section 26. Responsibilities of the Food Business Operator. Every food business operator shall ensure that the articles of food satisfy the requirement of this Act and the rules and regulations made thereunder at all stages of production, processing, import, distribution, and sale within the business under his control. No food business operator shall himself or by any person on his behalf manufacture, store, sell, or distribute any article of food which is unsafe or which is misbranded or substandard or contains extraneous matter or for which a license is required except in accordance with the conditions of the license, or which is for the time being prohibited by the Food Authority or the central government or the state government in the interest of public health, or in contravention of any provision of this Act or of any rule or regulation made thereunder. No food business operator shall employ any person who is suffering from infectious, contagious, or loathsome disease. No food business operator shall sell or offer for sale any article of food to any vendor unless he also gives a guarantee in writing in the form specified by regulations about the nature and quality of such article to the vendor. Provided that a bill, cash memo, or invoice in respect of the sale of any article of food given by a food business operator to the vendor shall be deemed to be guarantee under this section, even if guarantee in the specified form is not included in the bill, cash memo, or invoice. Where any food which is unsafe is part of a batch, lot, or consignment of food of the same class or description, it shall be presumed that all food in that batch, lot, or consignment is also unsafe, unless, following a detailed assessment within a specified time, it is found that there is no evidence that the rest of the batch, lot, or consignment is unsafe. Provided that any conformity of a food with specific provisions applicable to that food shall be without prejudice to the competent authorities, taking appropriate measures to impose restrictions on that food being placed in the market or to require its withdrawal from the market for the reason to be recorded in writing where such authorities suspect that despite the conformity the food is unsafe.
Now, in spite of all these measures taken by the government, still there are a lot of adultery that happens in the food chain supply. So let's see a home remedy kit or a kit that can be used at every home or establishment to detect adulteration of food products. Kit can be used even at homes or food establishments to check the safety, quality of the food. Once a complaint is identified, how to report it?
मेरी बेटी को स्कूल में खाने की चीजों में मिलावट की जांच के सरल तरीके सिखाए गए। उसने रोजाना के प्रयोग के कुछ खाद्य पदार्थों की जांच की। मैं देखकर हैरान रह गया कि पैक्ड लाल मिर्च जो हम रोज इस्तेमाल करते हैं उसमें लाल रंग की मिलावट की गई थी। मैंने सोचा मैं इस बात की रिपोर्ट अधिकारियों को करूं, लेकिन इस धोखाधड़ी की रिपोर्ट किसे और कैसे की जाए? मुझे खुशी है कि मेरी इन सभी सवालों के जवाब मेरी बेटी के पास हैं। आइए हम उसी से इसका समाधान सुने।
खाद्य पदार्थों में मिलावट करने की रिपोर्ट करना इतना मुश्किल नहीं है जितना आप समझते हैं। शिकायत दर्ज करने के 3 तरीके होते हैं। आपको जो सुविधाजनक लगे उस तरीके को चुने। 1. अपनी शिकायत फूड सेफ्टी कनेक्ट ऐप या पोर्टल foscos.fssai.gov.in/consumer grievance पर दर्ज करें। 2. टोल फ्री नंबर 1800112100 पर कॉल करके आप कंप्लेंट करने की डिटेल ले सकते हैं। 3. ऑफिस ऑफ कमिश्नर फूड सेफ्टी पे या कंज्यूमर ग्रीवेंस हेल्प डेस्क fssai.gov.in/cms/helpdesk.php पर देखें और उन्हें रिपोर्ट करें। है ना कितना आसान?
फूड सेफ्टी एंड स्टैंडर्ड्स अथॉरिटी ऑफ इंडिया द्वारा जनहित में जारी।
It is also very important for us to check the food labels and food packaging before consuming. Let's look into various aspects of that.
In this video, we will learn about the basics of product information that needs to be shared with the consumer to enable him to make an aware choice. Each pre-packaged food shall bear a label declaring all the mandatory information as per Food Safety and Standards, Packaging and Labeling of Food Regulations 2011. This will ensure that adequate and accessible information is available to each person in the food chain to enable them to handle, store, process, prepare, and display the food products safely and correctly. This shall also help easy tracing and recall of the lot or batch of product if necessary. This label should also include information that identifies food allergens in the product as ingredients or where cross-contamination cannot be excluded. Lot identification is essential in product recall and also helps effective stock rotation. Each container of food should be permanently marked to identify the producer and the lot. The information on the packaging label shall be provided in a clear and legible manner to help the consumer in making an informed decision before purchasing a food product. Any other information which is not mandated, yet the food business thinks that the information may be necessary for the consumer, should also be provided, such as cooking and storage instructions, customer care helpline number, etc. Each food business shall develop a system to effectively handle the consumer complaints. The packaging label of food products should also bear details of person to be contacted in case of a complaint. Such complaints should be effectively redressed in a time-bound manner to assist the consumer. Complaints should be accurately categorized according to food safety concerns such as presence of foreign contamination and according to other regulatory concerns such as labeling. The food business shall also identify a technical person responsible for receiving, analyzing, and addressing the food safety complaints. Based on the nature of the complaint, necessary corrective and preventive actions, including review of the GHP and GMP system, shall be taken to prevent the reoccurrence of the complaint. Records of the complaint and action taken shall be maintained. Thus, the main points in this video are: each food product label shall declare all the mandatory information as per food safety and standards, Packaging and Labeling of Food Regulations 2011. Each food business shall develop a system to effectively handle the consumer complaints. Records of the complaint and action taken shall be maintained.
Now, let's quickly look into the process of reading labels. Often we see many labels on the products, but we don't really understand what these labels mean and how to interpret these labels. Let's look into the process.
सुरक्षित और स्वस्थ भोजन चुनने के लिए ये जानना महत्वपूर्ण है कि फूड लेबल्स कैसे समझें और उनमें कौन सी जानकारी अवश्य देखें। सबसे पहले हमें पैकेट पर लोगोस चेक करने चाहिए। FSSAI लोगो और लाइसेंस नंबर देखना सबसे आवश्यक है। इसका मतलब है कि इस खाद्य या पेय पदार्थ को बनाने के लिए FSSAI यानी फूड सेफ्टी एंड स्टैंडर्ड्स अथॉरिटी ऑफ इंडिया से लाइसेंस या रजिस्ट्रेशन लिया गया है। पैकेज्ड और मिनरल युक्त पीने के पानी और कुछ प्रोसेस फूड्स जैसे कि शिशु आहार, दूध और स्किम मिल्क पाउडर के लिए ISI मार्क भी देखें। वनस्पति तेल, दाल, अनाज, मसाले, शहद, फल और सब्जियां जैसे सभी कृषि उत्पादों के लिए एग मार्क भी देखें। खाद्य पदार्थ शाकाहारी है या नहीं देखने के लिए हरा बिंदु या भूरा ट्रायंगल देखें। हरा बिंदु मतलब पदार्थ पूरी तरह से शाकाहारी है। भूरे ट्रायंगल का मतलब खाद्य पदार्थ मांसाहारी है, यानी इसमें अंडा, मांस, मछली वगैरह मौजूद हैं। चावल, आटा, तेल, दूध और नमक खरीदते समय +F लोगो वाले खाद्य पदार्थ को प्राथमिकता दें। +F लोगो का मतलब है ये खाद्य पदार्थ फोर्टिफाइड हैं। फोर्टिफाइड का अर्थ है कि इस खाद्य पदार्थ में आवश्यक पोषक तत्व, विटामिन्स और मिनरल्स नियमित मात्रा में मिलाए गए हैं, जो आपके स्वास्थ्य के लिए आवश्यक हैं। इनसे शरीर और दिमाग की शक्ति बढ़ती है और बीमारियों से लड़ने की ताकत मिलती है। फोर्टिफाइड फूड्स के बारे में अधिक जानकारी ffrc.fssai.gov.in पर उपलब्ध है। फूड सेफ्टी एंड स्टैंडर्ड्स अथॉरिटी ऑफ इंडिया द्वारा जनहित में जारी। खाद्य पदार्थ को खरीदते समय हमेशा डेट ऑफ मैन्युफैक्चर, बेस्ट बिफोर या डेट ऑफ एक्सपायरी अवश्य जांच लें। डेट ऑफ मैन्युफैक्चर खाद्य पदार्थ को बनाने और पैक करने की तारीख बताता है। इसके बाद बेस्ट बिफोर का समय भी जांच लें। बेस्ट बिफोर डेट आपको इस बात की जानकारी देता है कि इस खाद्य पदार्थ की कितने समय के लिए गुणवत्ता बनी रहेगी। उदाहरण के लिए, यदि डेट ऑफ मैन्युफैक्चर 10 अप्रैल 2020 है और बेस्ट बिफोर समय 3 महीने का है, तो इस खाद्य पदार्थ को डेट ऑफ मैन्युफैक्चर से 3 महीने के अंदर इस्तेमाल कर लेना चाहिए, यानी 10 जुलाई 2020 से पहले। इस तारीख के बाद इस खाद्य पदार्थ की गुणवत्ता कम हो जाएगी, यानी ये अपना स्वाद, ताजगी, रंग और खुशबू खो सकता है। लेकिन इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि ये खाना खाने लायक ही नहीं है। एक्सपायरी डेट ये बताने के लिए है कि इस तारीख के बाद ये खाद्य पदार्थ खाने के लिए असुरक्षित हो सकता है। उदाहरण के लिए, अगर एक्सपायरी डेट 30 जून 2020 है और वो बीत चुकी है, तो इस तारीख के बाद ये खाद्य पदार्थ इस्तेमाल करने लायक नहीं है और आपके स्वास्थ्य के लिए हानिकारक हो सकता है। हमेशा याद रखिए, जिन पदार्थों की एक्सपायरी डेट निकल चुकी है उन्हें कभी भी इस्तेमाल न करें। फूड सेफ्टी एंड स्टैंडर्ड्स अथॉरिटी ऑफ इंडिया द्वारा जनहित में जारी। खाने से पहले खाद्य पदार्थ के विषय में सारी जानकारी देख लेनी चाहिए। खाद्य पदार्थ में प्रयोग की गई सामग्री को सावधानी से पढ़ लेना चाहिए। कुछ सामग्री से आप एलर्जिक हो सकते हैं। आम एलर्जी पैदा करने वाले तत्वों में शामिल हैं दूध, मूंगफली, अंडे, मछली, सोयाबीन, गेहूं इत्यादि। यदि आप इन चीजों से एलर्जिक हैं, तो ऐसे खाद्य पदार्थ जिनमें ये चीजें इस्तेमाल की गई हों, उनका परहेज करें। ऐसे पदार्थों को थोड़ा सा भी खाने से सेहत को हानि पहुंच सकती है। यदि आपको कोई खाद्य पदार्थ खाकर परेशानी हो रही हो, तो तुरंत डॉक्टर के पास जाएं। खाद्य पदार्थ में मिलाए गए आर्टिफिशियल और परमिटेड फ्लेवरिंग व कलर्स भी जांच लें। क्लास 1 प्रेजर्वेटिव्स को क्लास 2 प्रेजर्वेटिव्स से बेहतर माना जाता है। इंस्ट्रक्शंस फॉर यूज यानी खाद्य पदार्थ को इस्तेमाल करने का सही तरीका यदि लेबल पर लिखा हो तो अवश्य पढ़ ले। अच्छे परिणामों के लिए इन तरीकों को ही अपनाएं। स्टोरेज कंडीशंस यानी खाद्य पदार्थ को कहाँ रखें, किस तरह से रखें और कितने समय तक रख सकते हैं ये जांच लें। जैसे कि रसोई में सूखी जगह रखें या फ्रिज में, खुली जगह रखें या बंद डब्बे में। क्लेम्स एंड डिक्लेरेशंस को भी अच्छी तरह पढ़ लें, जैसे इस तेल में कोलेस्ट्रॉल नहीं है या इस तेल में पोषक तत्व डाले गए हैं। अधिक जानकारी के लिए पिंक बुक की सहायता लें जो eatrightindia.gov.in पर उपलब्ध है। फूड सेफ्टी एंड स्टैंडर्ड्स अथॉरिटी ऑफ इंडिया द्वारा जनहित में जारी। परोसने की मात्रा यानी सर्विंग साइज और वजन यानी नेट वेट की जानकारी देखें। इस पैकेट या कंटेनर में कितने हिस्से परोसे जा सकते हैं, ये परोसने की मात्रा या सर्विंग साइज में दर्शाया जाता है, या उसका वजन नेट वेट या औसतन मात्रा या वॉल्यूम ग्राम प्रति मिलीमीटर में दिया जाता है। न्यूट्रिशन फैक्ट्स लेबल या पोषक तत्वों की जानकारी आमतौर पर पदार्थ की एक सर्विंग या हिस्से प्रति 100 ग्राम या 100 ml पर आधारित होता है, लेकिन कई पैकेजेस में एक से अधिक सर्विंग होती है या 100 ग्राम या 100 ml से अधिक पदार्थ होता है। इसीलिए यह देखना जरूरी है कि आप वास्तव में एक पैकेट में पदार्थ की कितनी मात्रा ले रहे हैं। यदि एक पैकेट में 2 सर्विंग्स हैं या पदार्थ की कुल मात्रा 200 ग्राम या 200 ml है, तो आप कैलोरीज और पोषक तत्व न्यूट्रिशन फैक्ट्स लेबल में जो लिखित है उससे दुगनी मात्रा में ले रहे हैं। न्यूट्रिशन फैक्ट्स लेबल पर कैलोरीज की जांच करें। पैकेट में लिखित kcal से आपको पता चलेगा कि पैकेट में कितनी कैलोरीज हैं जो किलो कैलोरीज में बताई गई हैं। यदि पैकेट में 2 सर्विंग लिखा है और न्यूट्रिशन फैक्ट्स लेबल पर एक सर्विंग में 100 कैलोरीज लिखित हैं, तो इसका मतलब अगर आप पूरा पैकेट खाएंगे तो आपको 200 कैलोरीज मिलेंगे। फैट फ्री का मतलब ये नहीं होता कि उसमें कैलोरीज नहीं है। कम मात्रा में फैट वाले खाद्य पदार्थ में भी उतनी ही कैलोरीज हो सकती हैं जितनी कि ज्यादा फैट वाले खाद्य पदार्थ में होती हैं। न्यूट्रिशन फैक्ट्स लेबल पर सैचुरेटेड फैट्स, ट्रांस फैट्स और कोलेस्ट्रॉल की जांच करें। दिल की बीमारियों से बचने के लिए कम से कम सैचुरेटेड फैट्स, ट्रांस फैट्स और कोलेस्ट्रॉल वाले खाद्य पदार्थों को ही चुनें। न्यूट्रिशन फैक्ट्स लेबल पर सोडियम की मात्रा जरूर देखें। वर्ल्ड हेल्थ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अनुसार हमें एक दिन में सोडियम 2 ग्राम से ज्यादा नहीं लेना चाहिए। हाई ब्लड प्रेशर के खतरे को कम करने के लिए उन खाद्य पदार्थों को चुनें जिनमें सोडियम की मात्रा कम हो, क्योंकि हमें खाने में नमक से सोडियम ऑलरेडी मिल जाता है। लेबल पर कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स की जांच करें। शक्कर की मात्रा को जांच लें, खास करके डाली गई शक्कर। शक्कर मेपल सिरप, गोल्डन सिरप, मॉल्ट सिरप, फ्रुक्टोज, कॉर्न शुगर आदि में भी होती है, इसीलिए इनकी मात्रा भी जांच लें। मोटापे को नियमित करने के लिए शक्कर, खासकर की डाली हुई शक्कर का कम प्रयोग करें। WHO के अनुसार हमें एक दिन में 20 से 25 ग्राम शक्कर से अधिक का सेवन नहीं करना चाहिए। लेबल पर प्रोटीन की मात्रा देख लें। ऐसे खाद्य पदार्थ की तलाश करें जो प्रोटीन से भरपूर हो। प्रोटीन्स हमारे शरीर के निर्माण में महत्वपूर्ण हैं। लेबल पर फाइबर की मात्रा भी देख लें। फाइबर पाचन क्रिया और संपूर्ण स्वास्थ्य में सुधार करता है। विटामिन्स और मिनरल्स की जांच करें। ऐसे खाद्य पदार्थों को चुनें जो विभिन्न प्रकार के विटामिन्स और मिनरल्स से भरपूर हों, क्योंकि ये हमारे शरीर को बीमारियों से लड़ने में मदद करते हैं और हमें स्वस्थ रखते हैं। डेली अलाउंस GDA और डेली वैल्यू प्रतिशत DV प्रतिशत का दिशा निर्देश। कुछ खाद्य पदार्थ में आपके डेली अलाउंस और आपके डेली वैल्यू प्रतिशत का दिशा निर्देश लिखा होता है। यह आपको बताता है कि यह खाद्य पदार्थ आपके शरीर के उस पोषक तत्व की कितने प्रतिशत आवश्यकता को पूरा करता है। डेली वैल्यू 2000 कैलोरी के आहार पर आधारित है। यदि पोषक तत्व की DV 20% लिखी है तो इसका मतलब यह है कि खाद्य पदार्थ आपकी उस पोषक तत्व जिसकी आपके शरीर को स्वस्थ रखने के लिए आवश्यकता है कि 20% मात्रा की पूर्ति कर रहा है। ये एक आसान तरीका है जानने के लिए कि खाद्य पदार्थ में पोषक तत्व अधिक हैं या कम हैं। यदि DV 5% से कम है तो उस खाद्य पदार्थ में कम पोषक तत्व हैं, और अगर DV 20% से अधिक है तो उस खाद्य पदार्थ में पोषक तत्व की मात्रा अधिक है। इस तरह से आप न्यूट्रिशन फैक्ट्स लेबल को अच्छी तरह पढ़ें और समझ लें। फूड सेफ्टी एंड स्टैंडर्ड्स अथॉरिटी ऑफ इंडिया द्वारा जनहित में जारी।
of often we consume foods that can cause allergies. So it is very important to look for the allergic contamination.
In this video, we will learn about hygienic handling of food material containing allergens. There are 8 major allergens listed in Food Safety and Standards Labeling Regulations 2017, namely cereals containing gluten, that is wheat, rye, barley, oats, spelt or their hybridized strains and products of these, crustacean and products of these, eggs and egg products, fish and fish products, soybeans and products of these, milk and milk products including lactose, peanut, tree nuts and nut products, and sulfite in concentrations of 10 mg per kilogram or more. Incoming raw material shall be checked for allergen declaration on the label, and final product shall be labeled for allergen declaration as specified in Food Safety and Standards Labeling Regulations 2017. They shall be stored separately in the storage section and identified properly. Display of all the allergens at the relevant places in the processing and storage areas should be done for awareness among the employees. Flow of raw material should be done from non-allergen handling area to allergen handling area to prevent cross-contamination. Appropriate control should be put in place during manufacturing to prevent their presence in other non-allergen food products. Where multiple products are manufactured in the same unit, manufacturing lines shall be cleaned thoroughly after handling allergen ingredients. Preferably, products containing non-allergen ingredients should run before the product containing allergic ingredients. Where cross-contact cannot be guaranteed, consumers shall be informed. For partially used allergen packets, the production staff should ensure that the partially used packet is stored separately and also completely sealed and identified with labels. Dedicated scoops and utensils shall be used which are specific to every allergen. Thus, the major points to remember from this video are: there are 8 major allergens and they shall be declared as per Food Safety and Standards Labeling Regulations 2017. They shall be stored separately in the storage section and identified properly. Appropriate control shall be put in place during manufacturing to prevent their presence in other non-allergen food products.
Now, let's see various adulterants and how to identify these adulterants in the milk.
Is your milk adulterated with starch? Let's do a simple test. Boil 2-3 ml of milk sample with 5 ml water and let it cool down. Add 2 or 3 drops of iodine solution to the milk samples. Pure milk does not change color. Milk adulterated with starch turns blue. Is your milk adulterated with starch? Let's do a simple test. Take 10 ml of milk in a container. Add some water to the milk. Shake the contents thoroughly. Appearance of a very thin layer of foam in the unadulterated milk. Appearance of a thick layer of foam in the adulterated milk. Is your ghee adulterated with starch sauces like mashed potatoes, sweet potatoes, etc.? Let's do a simple test. Take half a teaspoon of ghee in a transparent glass bowl. Add 2 to 3 drops of iodine solution to the ghee. No color change will be observed in unadulterated ghee. Adulterated ghee changes its color to blue. Is your milk adulterated with urea? Let's do a simple test. Take a teaspoon of milk in a test tube. Add half a teaspoon of soya bean or arhar dal powder in the test tube. Mix up the contents thoroughly by shaking the test tube. Wait for 5 minutes. Now dip a red litmus paper. Wait for half a minute. Remove the red litmus paper. The red litmus paper dipped in the unadulterated milk does not change color. The red litmus paper in the adulterated milk turns blue. Is your milk adulterated with water? Let's do a simple test. Take a clean glass slide or plate. Slowly pour 1 to 2 ml of milk sample vertically on the glass plate. If the drop moves slowly, leaving a white trail, that means milk is pure. But if the drop flows rapidly without any trail, it means it has been adulterated with water. Is your milk adulterated with water? Let's do a simple test. Take a clean glass slide or plate. Slowly pour 1 to 2 ml of milk sample vertically on the glass plate. Is your milk adulterated with urea? Let's do a simple test. Take a teaspoon of milk in a test tube. Add half a teaspoon of soya bean or arhar dal powder in the test tube. Is your milk adulterated with detergent? Let's do a simple test. Take a sample of 5 to 10 ml milk. Shake the contents vigorously. The sample which does not form any bubbles is unadulterated milk. The sample which is adulterated has bubble formation. Is your milk adulterated?
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः।
Hope this was useful for everyone to have fresh and safe milk, unadulterated milk. So all these materials have been used from respective public domains, so there is no violation of copyrights, because as it's already in public domain and we have used only for the awareness purpose, so we don't think there is any objectionable content. So it's widely available in the public domain. You can visit respective websites from or social media channels where you can watch it again. Or if you want also, we can share the links from where we have updated. It's in the public domain itself. So, and today we are also commemorating Global Day of Parents. So definitely parents' value is invaluable, and their contribution to the children, to the society is invaluable. No matter what, we cannot measure them in any way. And let's express our gratitude to the parents, all the parents on the planet. And due to time constraint, we are not taking up the topic as of now, but we express from wholeheartedly our sincere gratitude towards all the parents on the planet. If participants have any queries, comments, clarifications, you can unmute yourself, or you can put in chat box. Janveer Singh, David Singh. There is no PPT, ma. All these are videos. So these are available on FSSI website and YouTube channel. You can go there and watch the videos. To avoid this internet interruptions or bandwidth issues, we have downloaded them on the local system, so we use them. And it's awareness purpose only, so you can always go back to the original source. You are encouraged to visit site because they have updated information, so you can keep watching them. So if you have no queries, then we shall conclude. So feedback form has been shared in the chat box. Kindly fill up the feedback form before leaving the webinar. It is mandatory for everyone to fill up the feedback form to receive your certificate within 15 working days on the website of the International Webinar Series. You can visit the website. Yeah. Milk lifelong we can give. I mean, it can be consumed by even adults also. So there is nothing like how many years should babies be given milk. As long as they drink, there is no harm. Even adults also should take. When now, because calcium proteins are very much essential lifelong. So it is advisable to continue milk as long as they can. And breast milk is very important to continue uh, till 6 months. Babies are completely fed with the breast milk from 6 months. Along with the breast milk, supplements are given, and this breast milk can continue as long as the mother is up to 2 years also. I mean, nowadays it is not being practiced. Generally, from 6 months to 12 months or somewhere 18 months. I mean, it's an individual choice. It has become due to convenience. Mothers are working and, due to various reasons. Otherwise, it can be continued till 18 months safely. That will always help the child to gain more immunity and resistant towards various diseases and disorders. It's always advisable. Breast milk is must as long as availability is there. And from 6 months with supplements. And breast milk is the safest milk on the planet and highly nutritious. Any other queries? You can unmute yourself. Otherwise, you can put in chat box. Fill the feedback form. Okay. So thank you everyone for joining this international webinar series, and continue to join every day on weekdays 6 to 8 p.m. and on Sundays 11 to 4 p.m. And this Sunday we are celebrating World Environment Day. So kindly join us, and if any one of you are interested, you can also make presentations. You are welcome to approach us as early as possible, or if you know any experts working on environment, you can refer them. And kindly do register. It's available in the Facebook group. The link has been already shared. The Facebook group and WhatsApp channel, Telegram channel, and on social media platforms. So you can visit the website also. There you can find the details and link. So kindly join and gain insights into various aspects of environment. Fill up the feedback form. participants quickly fill up the feedback form.
In the universe are billions of galaxies.
In our galaxy are billions of planets.
But there is only one Earth.
For most of our history, humans lived in harmony with nature.
But we have shattered that balance.
Exploiting our planet for products and wealth, creating a climate catastrophe, driving species to extinction,
and polluting our land, seas, and air.
The web of life is fraying. If it fails, we as a species will fail too.
The science is clear, and time is running out.
We must go from harming our planet to healing it.
We must protect what we have and bring back what we lost to advance to a more sustainable future where everyone can thrive.
Humanity has come together before to prevent environmental catastrophes.
We have helped repair the ozone layer.
We've restored millions of hectares of land and marine ecosystems, protecting thousands of species. And we've banned dangerous pollutants,
saving countless lives.
Let those victories be the torches that ignite more action and illuminate the path to a world in which we are once again at peace with nature.
In the universe are billions of galaxies. In our galaxy are billions of planets. But there is only one Earth.
Solo un planeta Tierra.
只有一个地球。
केवल एउटै पृथ्वी.
Bara en jord.
Dunia ni moja tu.
We are both creature and molder of our environment.
The crisis of human environment is a global crisis.
Our capability to transform our surroundings, if used wisely, can bring to all peoples the benefits of development and enhance quality of life. But through ignorance or indifference, we can do massive and irreversible harm to the environment on which our life and well-being depend. We see around us growing evidence of harm. Dangerous levels of pollution in water, air, earth, and living beings. Major disturbances to ecological balance, distraction and depletion of irreplaceable resources. Millions continue to live below the minimum levels required for a decent human existence. A point has been reached in history when we must shape our actions with more care for their environmental consequences. To defend and improve the human environment has become an imperative for us all, a goal to be pursued in harmony with the fundamental goals of peace, economic, and social development. To achieve this will demand responsibility by citizens and communities, enterprises and institutions at every level in common effort.
It is so decided.
Remember, it is people that propel social progress, develop science and technology, and through their hard work, continuously transform the human environment. we are both creature and molder of our environment.